answers most of your questions, please feel free to ask anything and I will work to provide you an answer. I'm going to enter my email, well, I was going to enter my email on the chat so to make communications easier, but we'll figure that out as we go along and hopefully the power will come back. And then again, global grants are not going to be addressed in this session. Global grants session is next Thursday, May the 12th at the same time, 6:30 to 7:30. So hopefully the first slide is up, district grants. It says Kathy and Annette. And then we can go, are we already on change? What change you want to make? Is that where we are?
I've moved you to 7 areas of focus, but I will go back if you'd like.
Okay, so no, perfect. So there are 7 areas of focus to the next slide. And you'll need to choose and address 1 or 2 of these areas for your grant application. So the areas of focus are promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water and sanitation, clean water, sanitation and hygiene, saving mothers and children, supporting education, growing local economies, and protecting the environment. Next slide, please. 4 ways to fund your cause. So the first one would be the club grant, and that would be internal to your own club. So it can be direct to the community. You can involve a host Rotary and or a local NGO if the grant needs those additional parts. You can have partner clubs. You have any amount of time to do it because you're not tied to the district rules and there's no matching. This is a direct grant from your club or with your partner clubs. And so because there is no district money involved, but we do suggest that you follow the district grant guidelines. Next slide. Partner. Consider partnering with other Rotary clubs to learn from the lead club. This is a really good way to not take on all the responsibility and to work with your neighboring clubs to just create a better environment. Your club's contributions are matched in doing that if they're going through the district. So district grants, sorry, next slide, please. Only 1 district grant per club per year. These are grants that are managed by the district. They can be local or international. The total grant cannot be more than $30,000. District grant proposals are due by September the 15th, and payment is in November or sometime early December. They are as soon as we get them through evaluation, they go back to Rotary International, and then they'll come back to us. And then the funds are distributed. Next slide, please. District grant goals. So the goal is to generate increased participation by Rotarians, both in giving to the Rotary Foundation and in club activity. Making funds work by investing in strong projects with lasting impact. They're to support club engagement and participation in district funding projects, and encourage and facilitate collaboration among district clubs. Next slide, please. Qualifications for all matching grants. One has to do a memorandum of engagement with the district each year. There's 7 focus areas. The district grants basic rules are 55% of the club membership must have donated to the Rotary Foundation with an average of the last 2 years, and of a per member average of $100. So all the matching funds come from the club donations to the Rotary Foundation. Next slide, please. District grant maximums. As you can see on the chart, the more partners you have, the more money you're going to get. And there is another slide further in the presentation that'll show you how all that multiplies out. But the size of the grant and the number of partners is going to determine how much matching money you're going to be able to gain. The maximums can be reduced by if the qualifying requests exceed the available funds. And this last year, that was the case. The maximums were reduced as we had funds of approximately $145,000, and the requests came in at approximately $175,000. In 22-23, we'll most likely have the same problem, as the available funds will be approximately $125,000. And that's because the money that was donated 3 years ago was at a lesser amount. So it has to do with how much that we participate in at the district level, and then that money goes back to the Rotary Foundation. It's kept for 3 years, and then half of it's returned to us. Next slide, please. Project examples. So these are just a couple of ones that have, a couple of items that have been passed in the past. So that's a transportation van for job training, beds for homeless children in transition, maritime jobs training, equipment or materials, school backpacks for needy children, kitchen equipment to feed the homeless. There have been STEM educational program support, clean water in Ethiopia. This is where a district grant is used internationally. Same with the Fair Trade certification in Ghana, hearing clinic in Guatemala, and microcredit for women in India. Next slide, please. Rotaracts can also participate in district grants. This creates Rotaract project leaders. It's hands-on local community service. Rotaracts can partner with Rotary clubs. They can also partner with other Rotaract clubs. There's a $4,000 grant maximum, and they have up to 2 years to complete the project. If the project runs over the year, then there are certain rules that they need to follow with regards to reporting on and how the grant is moving along. Next slide, please. Scholarships. This question comes up fairly regularly. Can district grants be used for scholarships? And they can, with certain criteria, special criteria being met. And that would be the district grants may fund a scholarship for a year of study by a named scholar. So you have to pick the scholar. It must benefit one or more communities. Rotarians must be involved with the scholar during and after the project year. And it is subject to approval by the district governor and the district foundation chair. So these are very specialized district grants. Next slide, please. District 5030 grants. District clubs have direct access to matching grants from the district. The district grants can be in the amount of $2,000 to $10,000 and are available each Rotary year for both community projects and international projects. The international projects must have an international club and a local host club involvement. However, there are a couple of rules that will that affect that particular statement. So next slide, please. Should say basic requirements. I'm hoping we're following along here.
Yep.
The amounts are between $2,000 and $10,000, as I've just mentioned. They include at least one of the 7 areas of focus with Rotarian involvement. They must be a sustainable project with measurable impact for a minimum of 5 years beyond completion. And international projects must have a host club partner committed in advance and in writing for oversight and support. So there's a fair amount of work if you're working with an international, doing a district grant for an international project. Next slide, please. Basic requirements 2. District grants under $5,000 will have a somewhat lesser demanding requirements. The 7 areas of focus is encouraged but not required. Minimum impact should meet a priority need of at least 10 beneficiaries. And international projects may be approved without an international partner club. However, again, it helps if all of those things are, if you do have the international host club, local club available to you. Next slide, please. Reporting on completed projects. Projects receiving district grants must submit a report 60 days after completion. If the Rotary project is not completed within the Rotary year, a progress report is due by September 15th of the year following the date the district grant is distributed. So if an example would be if the funds were distributed on November the 15th of 2022, and the Rotary year would end on June 30th, 2023, and the project's not complete, a report is due by September 15th of 2023. And then the final report would be when the project is actually completed. So next slide, please. I think it should be other project features.
Yes, we did it right.
Pardon me?
We did it right. It is.
Okay, so we're just a little, yeah. Okay, so other project features. Project activities must have the active participation of Rotarians and comply with other Rotary Foundation terms and conditions, which can be found on the Rotary, My Rotary website. They may also include international or domestic travel expenses for scholars, vocational training teams, project beneficiaries and professionals, and project development teams within a certain guidelines and with certain restrictions. So, and those are pretty severe restrictions and guidelines. So it's really worth your time to take a look at all of those things and make sure that you've answered all the questions. Next slide, please. Should say final report.
Yes.
So again, the final report is due within 60 days after the district grant is completed. Failure to submit a progress or a final report may result in a delay or denial of future matching grants until corrected. This is it's something that often clubs will forget to do. They have their grant, they get their money, they do the project, it's done, and then it sort of slides off the radar because they're focused on all of the other things that they're doing. So it's a pretty easy thing to do. It's a thing that one just needs to remember. It's just kind of closing your book on it, send it in, it's all done. And the lead club must maintain a copy of the final report for 5 years. Next slide, please. District grant enrollment. One has to complete a memorandum of understanding with the district, designate 2 club members to participate in grant administration training each year, Commit to training additional members. Be current on progress reports on standing Rotary International and district grants. And enrollment must be renewed annually. Next slide, please. Evaluation criteria is available at www.d5030grants.com. But there are 9 scoring categories. Project impact, meeting a need in the community, beneficiary involvement, using successful methods, strong oversight, district funding plays a key role, funding leverage and impact are maximized through partnerships, hands-on District 5030 Rotarian involvement, and it enhances Rotary's public interest. The last 2 years have been difficult to address many of these categories because of COVID. We couldn't have a lot of Rotarian involvement. You know, there were just all kinds of things that we had to jump through, hoops that we had to jump through. But in general, you're scored on all of these, and the score is you're scored overall against all of the other requests that come in on any particular year. And that's how we determine the amount of money that each project is allocated if in fact we do not have enough to fund all the projects. Next slide, please. Partnering with other clubs. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is the best way to maximize the dollars. It also increases, because it increases your project funding. It allows for additional points in the evaluation process. You get to know your Rotary neighbors near and far. So you can partner with a club that's in your district, and you can partner with clubs outside of the district. Synergy is a great thing. It opens opportunities for more diverse projects. If you have other clubs joining you, or if you join other clubs, you learn from each other's leadership. Oftentimes because you'll have a bigger group, you can do a more diverse project, one that will take many more hands or many more ideas to come to fruition. And again, you share the responsibility for that project, although you still always have a lead club. Next slide, please. This is follow the money. This is how the money multiplies. So in this particular instance, the lead club is putting in $3,000. They have 5 partner clubs at $2,000 each, which is $10,000. So total club investments are $13,000. The district will match at 1-to-1, so that's another $13,000. So this is the wrong slide. I'm sorry, everybody. So this is your district grant. So you'll end up. Go ahead, Kathy. Sorry?
Kathy's muted.
Hang on.
I think this is the slide for the global grant.
That
It is. So
is.
yeah. So this part stops at that district 1-to-1 match right there.
Yeah, with the exception that the maximum this next year is probably not going to be as high as 13,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. Okay, next
Pretty
slide,
close
please.
to the same. Yeah.
So, so we're here to help. You can contact Jeff Brennan, which is District 5030 Foundation Chair. You can contact Kathy and or myself for any help that we can provide. And as the slide indicates, keep calm and ask for help. We're just here to do whatever we can to make this happen better for you. And then there's one last slide, if you will, and that is to, it's a quote by Bill Gates that I think is still very appropriate. And it says, don't let the complexities stop you. Be activists, take on the big inequities, and it will be one of the greatest experiences of your lives. So that is everything that we have on the slide presentation. And I guess we can open it up to questions. And or Kathy, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we open it to questions?
It looks like there's a question in the chat. I don't know who's monitoring that.
I'll, yeah, why don't I call on people? Nancy Merrill, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, thank you. Yes, actually, you know, I should know because I've been in the club for 5 years, but we're not a very dutiful club in donating to the foundation. So I'm not sure what the T stands for in TRF. And then my question is, if, for example, we were to partner with another club or ask a neighbor club to partner with us on something down the line, does that partnering club also have to meet the contribution requirement?
Okay, so the T is the Rotary Foundation. Is that the question? I'm sorry, I can't see the question, so I'm only hearing it. If the question is what is TRF, it's the Rotary Foundation. And the second part of your question is with regards to the minimums, the percentages and the minimums that one needs to participate.
Right. And does a partnering club also need to meet that 55% requirement?
Yes.
No, actually they don't. It used to be that way, but it has changed.
Okay, sorry there, Kathy, thank you.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sala Sweet, do you have a question?
I'm working on a global grant, but this might be part of it or it might not, and that's where I get confused. First of all, is there a difference between district grants and DDF?
yes.
No.
DDF is district designated funds.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all of the funds that come back to us every third year that we donated 3 years before, which are allocated not only to district grants, but also global grants and a couple other little things that happen at district level. So
if I had a global
it's
grant,
a piece of it.
if I had a global grant, I would come to the district for DDF.
Yeah,
Yes.
the funds are referred to as DDF because that's the big pocket it comes out of.
Because the project that I'm working on is over 100,000. So
Yeah, it's definitely a global grant.
okay.
And you would probably be working with Kathleen Davis.
Yeah, I have that.
Yes, to get started on the basic worksheet there.
So do the requirements for DDF, is the DDF still monitored and managed by the District 5030?
Actually, it's monitored by Rotary International people that are assigned
Okay.
specifically for your project.
Okay, so the things that we were just talking about, the requirements don't exactly apply to
Many of them do,
Yes, they
because
do.
many of our requirements come from the Rotary Foundation, and then our district has some other requirements.
And is there a separate grant application for DDF? And
For global grants, There's a
Okay.
little confusion because it sounds like global grants or anything international, but the fact is it's anything over $30,000.
Yeah, well, this is international anyway. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out where I'm getting.
No, Sala, you don't, there's not a special application for DDF. When you do your global grant, part of it is you have to apply to the district first, and they will approve it here and say that they will match it. And then it goes eventually to the Rotary Foundation. So
Right.
there's,
So I start the global grant process. And the
yes, that's
first,
correct.
and the first piece of that is to have it approved by the district. Is that?
No.
Locally, yes.
No, it's not the first piece. The first piece is to write it and to get some funding from the club. So you know you've got your funding. Then you go to the district for approval. But you can go to the district before that for them to read your application and say, ah, you're on the right track, keep going.
Okay, I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Okay, Jamal, then Jorge, and then
Yeah, this is not Jamal. This is Scott Lampy. I used Jamal's login and somehow came up with his name on here, so apologize. But anyway, my question is, we're working on an international project and going to be applying for a district grant. And in your comments, you indicated that you needed a local club, and I'm assuming that's in the country, but then also an international club. So are there two different international Rotary clubs that you need, or just the one local one?
The one located where your project is going to be is most advisable. So
Okay.
it's good to have Rotarians on the ground so they can keep an eye to make sure everything's happening as intended.
Right.
The club where you're doing the project is called the host club. And you, because you're not there, you're the international club.
Ah, got it. Very good. Thank you.
Jorge, then Dr. Phil.
Thank you. I do. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Good. I am starting an interesting project. I just came back from Colombia about a month and a half ago, and I connected with our Rotarians in Medellin, Colombia. And so I do have the international club, or the host club, I should say, and we would be the international club here. We're working on a project to get a secondhand mammography unit. So my question is, when we partner with other clubs locally here, are they limited to District 5030, or can we go outside of District 5030?
We can only match funds within the 50/30, but you're welcome to involve other clubs outside of the district.
Okay. That sounds good. That's pretty much so. Would we rather not be called the host club, or because they're going to be involved out there, but all of the activities are going to be done here?
No, they're still the host club, because the host club is where the project takes place.
Okay.
And they will be the club, like, for example, if you're doing a mammography thing, they're going to be the ones that make sure it gets installed, probably, because they're there and you're here.
Well, yeah, we don't know yet whether we're going to get the final objective is to have a mobile mammography van or a truck. And so I'm trying to define what the cost is of each to be able to see in which direction we go. So I'm right in the middle of the whole thing. I'm preparing the presentation to go club by club to find partner clubs here and so on.
Is Larry, you're still here. Do you want to answer or talk to that?
Let me unmute myself then. Yes, okay. So you want to do a project, it's less than $30,000, correct?
We don't know yet. It depends whether we are going to be focusing ourselves into a mammography unit or a whole mammography van. So the used unit may be right around 30,000. If it's a van, it might be a lot more expensive.
Okay, that distinction is if it's over 30,000, it's usually going to have to be a global grant.
Okay.
And in any case, the host country is the country, as Judy said, where the project is being implemented. So I think in either case, it's just a nomenclature. Your host country would be where you're going to be having the mammograph or in the in-home mammographies. I do have one question I guess, Kathy, if you have partners from different districts and you are doing a district grant, we do not match, I think maybe you said it, but we do not match the other clubs from out of district. Do their districts, will we be able to use on a district grant? Would they be able to use matching funds from another district?
They don't match funds across districts.
No, but if another district, no, you're right.
Yeah, and each district has their own rules. You know, we kind
Yeah.
of cooked up our own batter
Some,
on this one.
but you know, some districts like our district, we will match funds from if my club were to be providing funds to a project being led in another district, it's my understanding our district would match those funds that our club puts forth.
Or
Is that
global
not correct?
grants, yes.
Oh, for only global?
I think that's only global.
Okay.
So if
A
our,
global grant matches the district funds, right?
so if our 50-30 district matches funds, and I go and invite people from the district up in Everett, Mukilteo, Everett, and up north, would their district not match funds for what they're able to collect?
Yeah, aren't they 5020?
I don't remember.
Each
think
district is
I
different.
think that they do not match funds unless their club is unless the lead club is in their district. Our club is
Okay.
different in that we will match, but theirs
Okay.
will not.
Perfect.
But you
Great,
can
well-
still collect the funds, you just won't get matching.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, the next question will be Dr. Phil, then we'll go to Barbara and David Minks, and then Gene Weathers.
Okay, I appreciate you taking my questions. First of all, our club is coming down in size because we have people that knew all about Rotary, like Wayne Autumn and Deborah Autumn, leaving. They're moving out of area. And we've got other people leaving too because they're moving out of area. In fact, you can recruit a Rotarian and they can agree to take a position and they say, whoops, I'm moving to Boston. So my question is, when you say they have to have given for 2 years, what if you have a new member? I mean, and you diminish your role by having a new member. Does that kick us out? And then the second question is, the second question is, where can I see, I'm president-elect, where can I see the gospel truth of how many people have given and whether we qualify to even get a district grant? You know, we've got them before. We've sent a Rotary scholar off to England. We have Imagine Scholar, Imagine with, but I'm just the guy coming in and the buck stops here. So I need to know these things. That's why I'm coming to all these sessions you're having.
The Rotary Foundation continually measures the donations it receives. And so they give a quarterly report or biannual report in this case this year. And it's given to our district treasurer, I believe, because that's where I get the report from. I have to ask for it.
Well,
And it says what percentage of members have participated at that time.
can I tell by name who's given and who's below the 100?
I think not.
You see, that's a problem. I've raised money for churches before. They give me a list of the pledges and who hasn't pledged.
I think
and
your
I call up
foundation
those
chair.
guys and
No,
they usually pledge.
your foundation chair has access to who's given and who hasn't and the amounts.
Actually, I believe your president would also be able to go on to myrotary.org and find that data. Anybody with a level of 3 and above, I believe, can do that. And I believe that's what presidents are.
Well, I'll certainly call Rotary International. What about president-elects? You have to be president?
I think you have to be president.
No, if
You have to go through the training and take your office.
Say again?
I think you have to go complete the training, and you're on the rolls with TRF as being qualified to see the information.
Now, what's the
It-
training?
You get to be trained to be club president. There's training programs for that
Well, I've been through PATS.
through the district.
And this is the first few classes I'm taking with the district. Maybe you'll educate
Okay,
me by
good.
the time I get to the end of them.
There's a lot there. Yeah.
Yeah.
On July 1st, you'll be able to log into myrotary.com and you will be listed as president and you can access all the information.
On myrotary.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Org.
Org. Yeah, myrotary.org. Sorry. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Barbara.
Yes. So being a cause-based club, which of the 7 areas does the topic that we're trying to get funded fall under?
Sex trafficking.
Yes.
There would be child and maternal health.
Child and maternal health. Okay, great. Because I'll be doing that. So it's, prevention education for middle schoolers, and we're doing it with the Lantern Project. So child and women. Got it. Thank you.
All right, David Manx from Mill Creek. You're on mute.
Just don't want to break any rules. As a new club, we were just founded here 7 months ago. And so if we want to get our mitts on those DDF funds, if we want to do something, do we have to wait out the 3 years to get our mitts on it, or can we apply after a certain period of time? Everybody's muted. Could everybody hear the question?
Yeah.
Please repeat.
As I'm not getting any answers.
Could you please repeat it? I was mulling part of it and going, wait a minute.
It's a simple
So
question.
please repeat
Brand
it.
Brand new club, 7 months out.
Yeah.
And so when I was listening, the funds are available 3 years out from when we begin to put in to the district. So my question is, do we have to wait out 3 years as a new club? Because we don't have any.
We've never run into this before. So I think we're going to have to have a little powwow. Yeah, I think it should be okay. If you guys are currently participating as a new club as fully as possible, I would vote for, go for it. But other people may have other opinions. So we need to have an okay at the foundation chair level.
Yeah, because I think as we're getting more and more different clubs, we're kind of a community club. All we do is pretty much in-kind work, and then we work in the community, we support it deeply. So it's not like we're doing a lot of, international right now, or we're just getting our feet on the ground. But I just think it'd be great that maybe after a year, that you could get to it rather than having to wait out a long period of time. That's all.
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
Are all your members new to Rotary, or are there members that have been Rotarians that are just moving into your club?
Well, we have a mixture. We've had people that have left another club.
Right.
But I'd say the majority now is we're getting new members, new Rotarians. So I don't know if that makes any difference, but it started out as a base group of about 6, and now we're 23.
Excellent. Good job.
Great. Well, your people, the information of the members that were previous Rotarians and other clubs will migrate to your club because it goes with them. So there will be some information there, but yeah, it's an interesting prospect. But it's great that your club is growing.
Oh, yeah, we.
We'll bounce the question upstairs and see where we go with it. I think it's
From what
great.
I've seen, the Ending Sex Trafficking Club is also going to be submitting. So for Kathy and Judy and Larry and all of you, it's going to come up more.
Kathy,
Yes.
I'll hold you
I
guys to
believe
it.
that the DDF is made available to the district based on aggregate district giving. So those funds would probably be available to any club, whether they were new or not. However, you've got to meet the other criteria. You must have signed an MOU. You must be qualified based on your giving, your amount that you would qualify for, or based on your previous giving. So you would have to have some of your current customers, or your customers, excuse me, your current members have actually donated to the foundation in order to meet that 55% number.
Or 100% match, but if it's below that, it's a 50% match. So it's not like anybody be out in the cold,
Thank you very much.
but yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go with Jean, then Judy, then Sala, then Jorge, then Kimberly.
I'll try to be quick, but I do want to address what we learned in Lake Union about the timing of writing a grant and getting partners. We only decided last June to write a grant to fund tiny homes, build tiny homes in June. And we started writing the grant in July at the suggestion of wise people like Larry, who's our grants wise man. We came up with a list of something like 13 to 20 clubs where we might get funds, and dispatched about 4 different people to talk to them and ask for funds. Or hey, your club was the star, frankly. We asked for 1,000. They ended up saying, gee, would you mind if we gave you 4,200? Yeah, it was wonderful. But I really became mindful of what a tight timeline this is, because the clubs that you will invite to be partners are going to want to see the grant. They're going to want to see what you've written and what you're really proposing. And that means it needs to be written in June, maybe middle of July, out to them middle of July. August is a very, very tough month to get one, for clubs to meet, 2, to make decisions, because you have to meet that September 15th deadline. So whatever your dream is, I really encourage you to jump on it really soon so that you can be among the first to ask all your friends and neighboring clubs to join you, and then be able to actually meet the grant funding deadline.
Thank you, Jean. Judy.
Yes, thank you. I had a question about scholarships. Are those scholarships meant to be used for things like special Rotary scholarships, or can they be used for just a student or a grad student here in the US who's just trying to get through school? Did somebody hear my question? Yeah, okay.
I did. Most recently, we've had, we funded scholarships through a program through the Bellevue Rotary Club. It's for medical students at the UW. So they're all grad students, and they all are being monitored through their organization they put together to meet the requirements for Rotary. It's not something where we can just hand money out and hope it works. It actually has to have a process to
Yeah,
monitor and
I
all that.
understand that.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if it was meant for like Rotary scholars or Peace Scholars or something like that, or if it was,
Not necessarily,
okay,
but
that's
yeah.
all I
you know,
needed.
it's,
Thank you.
it isn't excluded to any certain group.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Sala, then Jorge, then Kimberly.
Okay, briefly, does the DTF have a deadline? If I'm asking for funds through a global grant, is there a deadline?
No, there's no
Yeah,
global,
global
you don't
grant-
ask for DDF. It comes automatically when the district approves it. And there's no deadline. It goes with, it's part of the global grant process.
Okay, and secondly, what I'm doing is doing a grant for training community health workers, but we're going to be supporting them during their first year in field work. So our reporting will be often, but the final report will be like 2 years out. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've forgotten how often it is. I think it's every 6 months you're required to make a interim report to the Rotary Foundation for a global grant. And then you have to have a final report too after the end of your, whatever the time period is. So for example, I did a grant that was like that. It was a 2-year grant. And then we had some follow-up stuff where we weren't involved, but there was testing of students and so on that lasted another year. So then I didn't have to turn in my report for 6 months after that extra year.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Jorge.
Thank you. This might be a silly question because I'm so darn new with Rotary. The idea that I have is to reach out to the partner clubs and ask for one of the members of the club to reach out to the other members to see who knows people at higher levels at Amazon or Microsoft or any of those organizations that they could give us some additional funds besides the funds that the club would grant. Is that something that is feasible or is not advisable? What do you guys think?
I don't know. I
Are
think
you
get your money wherever
asking
you can
about
get it.
you're asking partnering with outside sources, correct?
Yeah,
Not Rotary. Yes.
let's say I reach out to Dr. Phil in Kirkland
Great.
to see if somebody at the club knows a higher up, one of the VPs at Microsoft or Google out
That's
there.
super. Yeah. The overall scoring might be slightly affected because if say it's Microsoft and they supply 90% of the funding, then it's not so much a Rotary project. It doesn't score high in that regard. But if it's a 50% of it, great. That's wonderful. Yeah, it's just to be a Rotary project, it's got to be more Rotary than somebody else.
Okay, so the percentage has to be low and mostly Rotary funds.
Yeah, if we're going to brand it a Rotary project and a district grant, that it just makes sense to do that.
Yeah,
but
on the other-
absolutely seek partners.
On the other hand, if Microsoft wants to fund it, go for it, because then that leaves more money in Rotary for other projects.
Yeah,
that is true. But the idea would be to have Microsoft provide the funds to Rotary for us to handle the project.
It's possible to do that. You know, we do not scrutinize where you get the funds in your foundation as a club.
Yeah, they could give the money to your club foundation.
Okay.
And
fantastic. Thank you.
Great. Kimberly.
Hello, I am also from a brand new club that chartered last June, and I and my club have just discovered this Rotary Foundation. And I'm wondering if there are resources I can send to our 14 members who are brand new to Rotary so that they can understand the importance of donating to this. I'm apologize because I missed the very beginning of this, but I appreciate any resources you can send my way.
Well, there's our district grant website, which is helpful because it has all kinds of stuff about, what the Rotary Foundation is and why we give to it. Have you checked that out yet?
I certainly will.
Okay. Highly recommend it. And if you still have questions, please, send me an email and we'll see if we can dig up something more concise. There's just so much material out there. I was trying to think of something, that'd be simple to send you. It's like, yeah, well, not exactly what you're asking for, but I think we can dig something up that'll work.
Well,
If you do come up with something, I would appreciate something small and concise. Like put in an email.
Yeah, because some of these documents are huge and it just isn't helpful for what you're talking about.
Kathy, what about one of those slides that Jeff Brennan has that explains about the money going to the Rotary Foundation and coming back to us and so on? Would that be of help?
Yes. I mean, that's it in a nutshell, one visual.
If you're sending that out, I'd love to see that also because our club is sponsoring a satellite club.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to give them the satellite club that information.
Sure.
Well, it looks like there aren't any more questions. What a super easy thing it looks like to produce a grant.
Oh, right.
Any closing words,
Thank you,
Annette or Kathy?
We're here to help. So, just reach out if there's something that you want clarification on. Call, email, shout. That's fine. Just let us know. We really do want you to feel comfortable about the, final proposal that you put together that's submitted by September 15th, but you can do drafts that we could, work on polishing